What is wrong with you? Only a crazy person would have this many fish tanks. There's nothing wrong with you. This is totally normal. People are gonna think I'm crazy. I'm creating art with nature as my canvas. Why would I waste money on something this stupid? Life is about finding beauty in the world around me, and I get to do that every day. I am so stressed, I have no idea how I'm gonna have time to take care of all these aquariums. What the heck am I gonna do? This place is my happy place where I just feel calm and peaceful. You know, if I just take out a loan, I could probably get that dream tank of mine. I get to see beauty in nature that no one else gets to see but me.
If any of that sounds familiar, take a deep breath. Today, we're talking about multiple tank syndrome, not as a joke, but as something real, something that can bring joy or bring you to your breaking point. Before we dive in, I want this to be a discussion, so I invite you to participate and give your insight. Tell me in the comments, how many tanks do you have right now? And do you think it's too many or not enough? Multiple tank syndrome, or MTS, is a running joke in the aquarium hobby. The punchline usually goes something like this. You know you have MTS when the total gallonage in your house rivals the local YMCA pool. But behind the humor, it's a very real experience. MTS isn't about a specific number of tanks. For some, it just starts with that second tank. For others, it's dozens or even hundreds. What defines it is the drive to have more tanks, more fish, and more projects. From the outside, it might look strange, but when you're inside the hobby, you see magic. Every species is unique, different behaviors, different diets, different breeding styles, different social dynamics, and you start thinking, I have to try keeping that fish too. It often starts small. Maybe you find a used tank on Facebook Marketplace, or you discover the 50% off sale at Petco. You can do it cheap, right? A sponge filter, an air pump, super cheap. Grab a budget light, some cheap sand from Tractor Supply, or gosh, go dig it off the beach somewhere, and voila, cheap and easy. Then you add plants, upgrade the filter, swap to a better light. And then I think I need another tank, and another, and another, and another. How many do you need? Just one more, right? Before you know it, your spare room is now a micro aquarium store, and friends need a paid guided tour when they visit. By the way, what was your first extra tank after your main one? My first one, not counting the quarantine tanks because those don't count, right? Was when my wife convinced me to run out and grab a tank at 8 o'clock at night one night just to save a batch of electric blue Acara babies that had just hatched. Let me know in the comments. I love hearing those stories. MTS isn't just about fish keeping, it's about human behavior. It comes from either passion or addiction. Psychologist and addiction expert Dr. Gabor Mate talks about the difference. Passion brings joy, connection, and balance. Addiction consumes, isolates, and takes control. Here's the key difference. Passion is about the process. You enjoy the doing. You enjoy setting up the tank, feeding the fish, doing tank maintenance, watching the fish grow. Addiction is about the outcome. You're chasing a high. Without it, you feel empty. You've got an idealized vision in your mind, usually inspired by some very attractive, well-spoken social media influencer of what you want things to look like, but you have no love of the process. The process is just in the way. Passion can stop when it needs to. Addiction demands to be maintained. From a neuroscience perspective, our brains are wired to reward healthy behaviors with dopamine, the feel-good chemical that motivates us to repeat actions. But addiction hijacks this system, making the absence of that thing stressful, even unbearable. Every time you set up a new tank, dopamine hit. You buy a new fish, dopamine hit. If you're stuck in this cycle of addiction, you might need to ask yourself why you need that dopamine hit in the first place. But we'll get to that later. This isn't all or nothing, though. You're not either passionate or addicted. We all vacillate in our motivations and emotions. The German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer once said, humans are doomed to eternally vacillate between distress and boredom. So those are some pessimistic words from one of the most pessimistic people. And honestly, that might be one of the root causes of MTS. When we're stressed, tanks offer an escape. When we're bored, tanks offer excitement. Either way, they're the perfect antidote, and that can make them hard to resist. Is this something that you've noticed? Do you think you buy more tanks when you're stressed or when you're bored, or is it a mix of both? It's not all bad. There are so many positives to having multiple tanks. Curiosity is a superpower. People with multiple tank syndrome often have an incredible drive to learn, to explore new species, to try new setups. Your curiosity gives you drive and passion to accomplish what few can. While most people are consuming reality TV and letting their minds rot, you're learning about a fish that comes from a river 10,000 miles away and wondering about its dietary preferences. Creative expression comes from having a living canvas. Whether you're doing lush aquascapes, species-only setups, or recreating natural biotopes, each tank is an expression of how you feel, a special language that only you can speak. MTS helps with your mental well-being. Aquariums are proven stress relievers. Watching fish can lower blood pressure and calm the mind. Multiple tanks can mean multiple little escapes in your home. For me, my aquariums lend perspective to my problems and make them feel smaller. They help me see myself as part of nature and therefore part of something beautiful. Many of us feel proud to show off our fish rooms. It's not just a hobby, it's part of who we are. YouTube is a great way to connect with people just like you. It's one of the reasons why I have this channel, to remind myself that I'm not alone, that I'm not the only one out there. For some, this hobby is a way to process grief, manage our anxiety, or recover from burnout. It's a safe, constructive outlet. Going back to that dopamine effect, when you spend time in your aquariums, you get a small dopamine release. This isn't always a bad thing. Think of the dopamine release you get from hugging a loved one or doing something nice for someone else. This release can help you deal with stress in a healthy way. It only becomes an issue when you keep needing more and more to avoid processing your feelings. A good way to understand the difference is by paying attention to if-then statements. If I could just buy those Altums, then I'd feel better. Healthy forms of escapism aren't always meant to make you forget. They help you process. If-then statements are a clear sign of comparison and an unhealthy escapism. If your tanks have helped you through a tough time, I'd love to hear about that in the comments. Those stories remind us all of why we do this. Now let's talk about the darker side of MTS. These are clear signs you may have a problem. Tanks, filters, lights, heaters, water bills, electricity, it all adds up. When you have dozens of tanks, the cost can be overwhelming. If you're going into debt or neglecting more important financial priorities, it may be time to take a step back. Even if you automate water changes or use low maintenance setups, every tank needs care. And it's not just the physical work, it's the mental load of monitoring water parameters, health, and compatibility. If you're frequently missing more important events, it may be time to take a step back. Not everyone in your household may share your enthusiasm for your fish tanks. Space gets taken over, money gets diverted, it can cause real strain in families. There isn't a fish tank in the world more important than a family member. And this includes the micro moments you might be missing. If you're staring at your phone doing research, you might be missing those small moments with your kids or significant others. Those are moments that you'll never get back. I'm not trying to make you feel guilty. I'm just pointing out something I personally struggle with here. There's nothing wrong with giving time to your fish tanks. Just make sure you give purposeful time to your family as well. When you're stretched too thin, fish can suffer. Neglected tanks, disease outbreaks, poor water quality. I've made this mistake in the past, and nothing feels worse than losing the fish from your last tank setup when you were setting up your new one. There's pressure to keep up with big YouTubers and Instagram fish rooms. I'm not a full-time creator or a fish store, I'm just a hobbyist, but I fell victim to this mentality early on. Now I've got almost 40 aquariums. You don't need a million aquariums to be a fish keeper. Have you fallen victim to any of these? And if so, how did you find your way out? So how do you know when you've crossed the line? Ask yourself, do I have the time, space, and money to add another tank without sacrificing care? Am I doing this for the joy of the process, or am I chasing a quick high? Am I neglecting other important parts of my life? Decide your limit in time, budget, and space. Use systems to automate where possible, auto feeders, timers, drip water changes. Keep a maintenance calendar. Come up with a process that works for you and follow it. If you're adding tanks to avoid dealing with stress, grief, or other issues, adding more glass boxes might not fix the problem. You may need to seek help from a mental health care professional to deal with whatever you're facing, and there's nothing wrong with this. Multiple tank syndrome is both a blessing and a curse. It can light a creative fire and deepen your knowledge and fill your life with beauty, or it can burn you out, drain your resources, and take more than it gives. The difference lies in balance. So are your tanks bringing you joy, or are they owning you? Maybe MTS is just a funny phrase, or maybe for some of us, it's a mirror into who we really are, what we value, and how we choose to live. Whatever the answer is for you, make sure it's your choice. And if you have MTS, you are definitely not alone. If you're dealing with mental health issues, I've got a playlist of tons of philosophy-related topics and ideas that have helped me, so go check out those videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Wishlist out.